welcome to another episode of I Demand a Homestead. My name is Amanda, and I have been out in my orchard here, and I've been thinning off apples off my fruit trees. This is something that I do every kind of beginning of July because in June the apples will tend to drop some of their immature fruit, and they kind of decide which ones they want to keep. But I will like to thin quite a few of them off because I don't want the tree to kind of overproduce, because then it won't produce every year for me the way I want it to. So I've got a basket full of green apples. They're pretty small, right? And you might think that you would just throw these away, but in fact, these little apples are great for making your own pectin. If you like making jam, this can be a nice way to use your green apples if you have any apple trees. If you don't have apple trees, you can get some really tart, like Granny Smith or something like that, apples, and you can do the similar kind of thing as what I'm going to do with these. Okay, we're going to go inside and we're going to start getting these ready to make pectin. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wash these. Okay, so now I have got my apples and they are all nicely washed. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to discard ones that are very clearly diseased. Okay, I'm not going to use these ones. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these green apples and I'm just going to slice them. Probably these ones are not that big, so I'm only going to slice them in half. I'm not peeling them because that's where the pectin is, okay? So you definitely do not want to peel them. This is where all that good pectin is. I'm not coring them, nothing. And then I'm just going to put them into a big pot. And I'm going to fill that pot all the way up with those apples. Okay, now I've got 2 pots, kind of mostly full up with these apples. And I am going to get some cool water and fill this up so it just covers these apples. Okay, and then I'm going to put them on the stove, and I'm going to start them off kind of on a medium-high heat because I want to bring these to a boil. And then I'm going to turn down the heat and simmer them. So we'll put the lid on both of these until they come to that simmer, or until they come to that boil, and then we'll turn them down. Okay, our apples have come to the boil now. What I'm going to do with these is I'm going to keep the lid on this pot. I've turned it down to low. I want them just kind of simmering. Yeah. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along about every 20 minutes and I'm going to give these a stir. All right, I'm going to cook them for at least an hour until they're kind of a very kind of soft, kind of mushy applesauce kind of texture. All right, we'll come back and check on them every so often. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Pretty gross. After about an hour and a half. I did kind of gently mash it down just because these apples were just so hard that they just weren't kind of breaking down. But again, you don't want to kind of stir or mash it too much, otherwise your pectin will be cloudy. That doesn't concern me too much because I'm not making jellies with this. But this is about the consistency that you want. It's kind of like a really runny applesauce. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to strain this. So this is the setup I have. I have a plastic bucket and it's got a layer of cheesecloth in it that I've just attached with clothespins, okay? So now we're going to strain it. We'll just slowly pour this in here. Yummy. So what we're going to do now is we're going to let this disgusting concoction strain for like overnight. And that, because it's going to take a while to do that. And you don't want to squeeze this because your pectin will be cloudy. I'm not that worried about it. You will get a little bit more pectin if you do squeeze this. So it's up to you, but definitely do leave it to drain overnight. You can put it in the fridge so that way you're not going to get any contaminants on this. All right, so we'll come back when this is finished straining. Okay, and so now it is the next day and we'll show you what we have. In our cheesecloth, we have a really weird kind of remnants of our apple mixture, okay, which I'm going to put into the compost. And then in the bucket is what we're really after, and that is our pectin, okay? And so what I'm going to do with this now is I'm going to ladle this into some clean jars. Okay, over here. You could use sterilized jars, and then you could can these in your water bath canner. I'm just going to put them in the freezer just because it's easier for me. So as we pour this liquid in, you'll notice that it is a little bit thick, and if you kind of feel it, it's actually a little bit slimy, and that is actually the pectin. So it is supposed to kind of feel that little bit of sliminess. There are ways that you can kind of tell if you have enough pectin in there. You can get a kind of alcohol that which will then cause this pectin to clump up. I'm not going to do that. What I normally do is when I make my jam, I'll just test the jam for set, and that way I know that it's going to set properly. So I don't bother kind of checking it other than that. Okay, so here are our jars of finished pectin that are ready to go into the freezer, and I'm just going to mark them. And I've left room here for them to expand as they go into the freezer. That's important. You don't want your jars to explode. So now that we've got our pectin ready to go, when you are using this in a recipe, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do about 1/4 cup of pectin for every cup of crushed fruit for jam, or 1/4 cup of pectin for every cup of fruit juice if you're making a jelly, okay? So I normally package these in about 500 ml jars or 2-cup jars, just because a lot of times my recipes will be for about 6 to 8 cups of fruit, and this way I've got the right amount that I want. Okay, so I'm going to be using this to make my Concord grape jelly, also to make my strawberry rhubarb jam. And the nice part is that I've got enough pectin to make jam for the year, and I can also use this to make like apple pie fillings or other kind of fruit pie fillings, things like that. It's very, very versatile, and this is all from a product that was going to get thrown out because it was just apples that I needed to thin anyway. So I love it when I can make use of something like that. So this is a wonderful thing to do. All right, everybody, I hope you have a great day and you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to press the subscribe button. If you have used your own or made your own pectin before, tell me about it. Tell me what was good, what was not so good. And if you have any other suggestions, I'd love to hear about them. All right, everybody, have a great day. Goodbye.